Welcome back to Wargaming World, to Zululand 1879, and to another game of the men who would be kings. So what is the name of the game? We have our British forces here, and the troops are moving out along this road, and they want to move on. They're just leaving camp and to get to a new position away from earlier fighting. Now we've got some irregular cavalry, some Boer cavalry at the front here, and then we have 3 regular British infantry. We've got a 9-pounder with a poor crew, and at the back there we've got some of the injured and sick. Now, as you'll know, we've got 24 points for the forces, so we have 6 points for the 3 regular units. We've got a poor cannon there, as I've mentioned. The crew at the back there, the injured and sick, they won't engage. However, they're important because as the units are looking to withdraw, then the 3rd unit, the one that's still defending there behind the fence, will follow as the rear guard as this unit moves forward. And as I say, we've got the irregular cavalry at the front, which is screening just to see whether we've got any enemy forces. Now, I've never played the Mr. Babbage rules, so I'm going to try it in this particular game. Now, the Zulu forces will have 24 points, but more troops might arrive. In that when the British move, we've got to roll, and I'll show the tables as I go to see which units appear. Once we get to the 24 points, that's fine. Now, just before we start, what we'll have to look at is the leaders of the units, and let's have a look at their characteristics, whether they're good or otherwise. Now, you'll be familiar that we have 2 tables. The first is the leadership value, and then on the second table we roll 2 dice. We look at what the traits will be of the individuals as a result. So 3 dice here. So we'll have the red dice will be the leadership value, the blue dice will be the first line, and the green will be the 3rd. So we have a look at the traits of the individuals. So let's start off with our irregular cavalry and their leader. Alright, so 1, 4, 4. That's a leadership of 8 and a terrible planner, so the leader's unit has very limited ammunition. Okay, so the first unit leader, 5, 6, 3. It's a regular with leadership of 5. Now, jolly good chap, leadership of 5, which we have already, so just a good leader. Six, 6, 3. I think that's going to be a repeat, so he's going to be 5 in terms of leadership, and again another jolly good chap, leadership of 5. Okay, second infantry units, 2, 3, 2. Leadership of 6, and a 3, 2 means that this leader awfully popular with the men, and there's a discipline issue when it comes to tests at -2. And finally 5, 4, 3. Leadership of 5, and over on the trait, fortunately the gentleman has a bottle, so we have to test and see if there's an issue here. Right, we'll have to see at the moment of action whether the leader is in control, either an 8 or a 6. All right, okay, so that's the test of all of our leaders. Let's have a look at starting the game. First turn, so the screen is going to move. I'm moving very slowly, the irregular cavalry, in fact at the pace of the leader, which is 6 inches because he's on foot. So we do need to take a test because we are moving rather than firing or attacking, for that matter, for cavalry. So let's take a test and see whether they can move forward at 6 inches. Okay, and that's an 8, so we can move. And in doing so, what that prompts is the first test with the Mr. Babbage tables to see if any Zulu forces arrive. So here's the first table. Let's roll a d6. And a 5. Now 2 units appear. They're Zulus. We haven't got any cavalry, so I'm going to say we've got 1 to 4 with standard infantry with the first unit, 5 to 6 with rifles, and then we'll test the second one. The second unit will say 1 to 5 is the standard infantry, and number 6 will be shooters. So 1 to 4 standard units. Anything but a 6 we get a repeat, another 1. So we've got 2 units, so we need to roll on where they appear. 1 to 3 is in front of them, 4 to the left, 5 to the right, 6 would be somehow a gap between the 2, perhaps, maybe in those this area here. So let's have a look. 2 units, 4 and 5. So it's to the left and right, so I'm going to position these out to the flanks, work out where the range is, and we'll go from there. And so, left and right, 2 Zulu units appear, marked as 3 points each. Let's have a quick look at their leaders. Roll for the leader, firstly nearest to me, on the right hand side. Remember, red, blue, green. 3, 2, 4. It's a leader of 6. The other side there, short-sighted, cannot give an order to fire beyond short range. And the leader of this unit further away. What do we have? 2, 6, 1. A leader of 7, and they're very much up and at 'em, so we're very much keen on the attack if able to do so. Well, this is the next British unit who need to act. The idea here is them to move into a firing position further forward, so we need to test whether the British can move. Yeah, no problem. The British have moved into line, not close order. Need to be flexible for movement, and the Zulus are not within firing range as yet, but they have moved. So what happens to potential Zulu forces? That's a 4. So taking a look here is that 1 native unit appears at short rifle range from this unit. Firstly, is it a shooter? Yes, it is. Next question is, whereabouts do they appear? 2. So from this, 2, they appear right in front of them. And this is the position. They've darted out from behind the rocks over the other side there, and they're well armed. So this unit is going to cost 5 points. It's short range. Neither can fire at each other. It's still the British turn. We need to have a look and see what the quality of this leader is. 5, 2, 5. So 5 means he's 5 as a leader, and then over here He is also a musketry buff, a leadership of 5 when giving orders to fire or volley fire. It's a good quality leader and a good unit. Right, well, I want to wheel this gun, move it into this direction, but we're going to have to roll and see whether we can move first of all. 4, I'm afraid not. Well, the British didn't move, so nothing from Mr. Babbage either. So let's go back to this unit. This wants to move into that space. So if you remember, this leader is a bit of a brute. So leadership is 6. However, -2 from the roll for the unit. So effectively needs an 8. So that's fine. Okay, they've moved, but we need to test now for whether any Zulus appear too. 5. 2 more units appear at long range. Now I could roll for types, but I don't have any more potential musketry for the Zulu, so it'll be 2 standard units. We just need to work out where they go. 2 and 5. 1 unit right in front, 1 to the right hand side. So long range right in front is over here, that's 24 inches, and to the right there is the Zulus in that back corner. So might be 24 inches away from this unit, but not from this one. We need to have a look is the quality of the leaders of both units. Firstly, the leader on here. Four, 3, 5. Okay, so with a 4, it's a leader of 6. There we have a 3 and a 5, which is a keen shot. Unfortunately, it's not armed with a rifle. Somewhat unfortunate that he wasn't leading this unit, but never mind, he's not. But that's the unit over there. Let's have a look at the one back in this corner. So it's a 1, 6, 4, 7 as a leader, and in terms of the trait is brave. Remove 1 pinned marker for free before activating this unit. So certainly looks like somebody keen for fighting, and might well be the closest to it. Should have mentioned too that this unit is 3 points, as is the units back here in the corner. That means we have 4 units at 3 points, so that's 12. If you remember, it was 5 for this, so in total we've got 17 of the 24 points. Now, I originally hadn't added a leader for this unit, but I'm going to for movement purposes. And for this leader we've got a 4, 4, 2, 2. So for leadership of 6, 2 2s means he's not the prettiest. Perhaps the reason why is with the wounded party, who knows, but there's no negatives there in terms of how he acts as a British regular. And indeed he wants to move this unit further forward in this direction. Can he do so? 6, yes he can. This unit's shuffled away from this area, but again it's a movement, so we'll see what happens with Mr. Babbage. Another 5, another 2 units. Where will they be? 6 and 3. So that's 2 units, 1 in front and 1 behind. Right, this unit is long range and is in front, 24 inches, 3 points, and this one is directly behind it. 4 points for a slightly better unit. These are fierce fighters, and we just need to have a quick look at the final 2 leaders. Look at the first leader here. Right, what have we got here? 6, 1, 1. Now, although we look like we've got a good leader, unfortunately, trait's not too good. So hapless, and the leader value is 10, and not awfully good at all for that unit. And finally, we've got 2, 2, 5. Well, the leader is 7, and in terms of skills, well, if he had a rifle, he'd be a good one, but unfortunately he doesn't, and that's the end for the identifying our various leaders. So that's the table. The Zulus have appeared all over the place, and certainly threatening right there in the middle, close to the unit. However, there's one unit which hasn't acted as yet, and it's this unit in position. It can either fire or might move for a better position to try and defend against these two units at the back. Now, if you remember, this gentleman has a bottle, so therefore we have to test each time to see whether he's been drinking. 1 to 3, that has been the case, and it is, so we need an 8 on this roll. This unit's going to move behind to a better firing position, facing these two units. So therefore we need to roll to see whether we can actually move. Yes, we can. Okay, that's the end of the British activity. Over to the Zulus. So we're going to start with this unit, both if we complete a skirmish order, and it means they'll be able to fire. We've got 9 figures, so it's rounded down to 4, and then they'll be able to move into cover over there. Do we pass the order? Yes, we do. We've got 9 figures, but skirmish means you half the numbers and round down. So it's 4, needing 6s to hit. And there's nothing there, so the unit will now move half movement, which is 8 is normal, so 4 inches towards the cover over here. Here, this unit could move very quickly into this cavalry unit. However, if you remember, we've got a problem because this unit has a leader which is a leadership of 10. So let's see whether they could pass that test. And unfortunately not. Now this unit over here it's about 8 inches away from the cavalry. So they're going to attack the attack test. Double 1, no it doesn't. Okay, so for this unit and the unit over there, they're just going to move 8 inches. They don't need to test towards their nearest enemy, and that's the cavalry here. Similarly for the same 2 units here, we've got our nearest enemy here, so both units are going to move towards it. And that's where they get to. Here, that's where they finish. Right, that is the end of the first turn. Turn 2, British going to fire. They're in short range, but I'm going to say that this unit, the Zulus, is in short cover. If they appeared between the cavalry and the infantry, I'm going to assume there's some kind of gully there or what have you. So, short range, but as I say, soft cover. So we've got 12 firing, needing 5s. Right, we've got 7 casualties. However, we've got the soft cover, so you'd need 2 casualties for each, which means effectively we've got 3 figures removed. Test if it's the leader. Is it a double 1? No, it's not. We need to take a pin test. This unit's leader is 5, but we've taken 3 casualties, so that would be 8. Is it pinned is the question. The answer is yes. The second action is that I'm also going to attack with this cavalry. Cavalry doesn't need to take a test to attack. I know the figures are really spread out here. However, once the nearest one makes contact, then all figures count for both sides. Right, so I'm considering that the cavalry and the Zulus were in sight because they've just been fired at and they appeared behind them, so I haven't got a problem there in terms of line of sight. I've got 4 cavalry and I have 6 Zulus. However, they're pinned, so we're only going to count as 3 for the Zulus, and they also, to take a casualty for the cavalry, you've got to get 2 wounds. So the cavalry need a 5. And we've got 1 casualty. Let's test the leader. It's not the leader. Zulus also need 5, and they've got 2 casualties. Was it the leader? No, it wasn't. Okay, so trying to work out who wins is actually how many models are removed, but as it's 1 each, then the attacker must retreat. They don't test for pins, but they must retreat half move. I'm going to say 6 inches. I know we've got the guy off the horse, but yeah, so we'll say 6 inches away, and the Zulus have defended themselves. And that's where we finish. Now I need to continue to move this unit. The leader has a leadership of 6. Yep, they can move. And this is where they got to. I also want to move that unit. Remember, its leadership again is 6. However, it's a -2 on the roll, so I need an 8. It is an 8. Now this gun crew, ironically, is in exactly the right place to fire at this unit. We do need to take a test though. I know they're regulars, but it is a gun crew, so we need a 5. And we got it. Okay, it's a green gun crew. I've got 5 men, so it's short range, and therefore it's 5s to hit. We've got 10 dice. Green indeed, it's only 1 casualty. Test if it's the leader. No, it's not. Pin test for the Zulus. Leader is a 7, taking 1 casualty, so I need an 8, and that's a fail. So that unit's pinned. The one behind it doesn't have to test under the Mr. Babbage rules. Okay, now that that unit is pinned, then this British unit is going to fire at the unit behind it. It's long range, so we need 2 casualties to remove a model, and in this case I'm not going to say it's in soft cover. I'm just going to roll, but it's 5s to hit and 12 figures. 6 casualties, that's 3 figures removed. Is it the leader? Nope. And a test to see whether it's pinned, and it is. I need to start with some pin tests. The leader here is 5, we've got 1 for pin, so we need a 6. And we've passed. Both of the leaders of these 2 units are a 7. We've got 1 pin, so we need an 8 or higher. Let's start with the nearest unit. And that's a pass. The unit behind it. And that's also a pass. Right, this unit on this side, I've moved forward. It's not in range to get to the cavalry, and for the most observant, I've also changed my figures. So these stand up a little easier. The other ones are on very small bases, so they seem to be falling over. So that's the next unit. The other one on the right hand side again has advanced. It's not near enough to the British to have an attack or at the double. So those are the 2 units here. However, let's take a look and see what we've got on the left hand side. Now, on the left hand side, this unit most certainly is within at the double range of the cavalry, so let's see how they go. Now it's a leadership of 7 for this unit, so let's see if they can make the attack. No, unfortunately not. Now this unit is further away. It could reach the cavalry. It's 11 inches, so it would need to pass its test for at the double and then get 3 inches or more. So absolutely passes the test. So will it reach the cavalry to find out whether they can get 3 inches? And the answer is yes. 16 Zulus needing 5s. That's a very poor return, and that's only 1 model removed. Check if it's the leader. No, it's not. Cavalry again needing 5 in return. 1 each. Now, as the Zulus have been the attacker, they need to retreat. 1 casualty or 1 model being removed from each. And my original leader is going to pinch the spare horse, so I'm left with 2 men with horses. And that is the end of turn 2. So, over to turn 3. We'll start with the gun crew. So the gun firing again at this unit. Now we need to pass to fire the gun. To pass. 10 dice, needing 5s. Better shot this time, maybe. Possibly not. That's 1 casualty. Is it the leader? No. Leader does need to take a test though, and fails. This unit is going to fire long range at that unit. 12 dice, needing 5s. 5 casualties, so 2 figures removed. Is it the leader? No. Pin test? No, the unit's fine. This unit will fire again over the heads of that one at the unit at the back. 12 dice, needing 5s. It's just 1 figure to remove. Is it the leader? No. Leader test. Let's see if they're pinned, and they are. I want this unit to move again. In actual fact, what I'm going to do is turn them round so they can form up and face that way, but first they need to get an 8. Nope, they disobey. They remain static. Finally, I want this unit to move to get some kind of protection. Try and get them over the wall into this space, but we need a 6 to start off with. Oh, definitely. They clamber into this security. Now I need to move this unit into some kind of security, some kind of space over here. However, I've got to pass the test to be able to do so. Leadership of 8, so it's not guaranteed. In fact, it's a fail. Well, we need to start with 2 pin tests for the Zulus over here. Let's start with the unit in front. Needs an 8. 8 it has. The unit behind it, again an 8. And it's passed again. Now this unit is in cover. I can fire normally. I'd have 5 men firing at the British here at short range, but I need to pass a test first. But unfortunately they fail. That's a disappointment because I wanted to disrupt this British unit and then attack them with this one. This unit is 8 inches away. It can attack, however, in order to do so it's got to pass a test. Unfortunately, this is the one with the unit leader of who's particularly poor, which needs a 10. But let's see if it can do. Just short. Unfortunately, that's a fail. This unit's going to look to attack once again. It's to get 6 or more to do so, and it fails. Right, I need to try and see if this unit can attack the cavalry. It's within 8 inches, but can it pass an attack test? No, that's another fail. The last unit is this one. This is the one where it has to attack when it has an opportunity to do so. It's 9 inches away from that cavalry, so it'll try and attack it, but it's got to pass a test for at the double. And it's failed. Well, that was a really poor set of rolls for the Zulus. So on to the next turn and over to the British. Test the cannon once more. Yeah, that can't fire. Now, as the cannon can't fire, this unit is just going to fire at this the nearest unit. Also going to say it gets soft cover, although we can see some of the unit without cover. I'm going to say a lot of them will be trying to get some kind of cover here, so I will say soft cover for this nearest unit. Needing 5s. That's just 1 figure being removed. Is it the leader? Nope. Importantly, are they pinned? Yes, they are. Need to test to see if I can move this unit. I need an 8 to do so, and I fail. I'm going to try and move this unit to pass a test. 5. Leadership with this unit is 5, so that's a pass. Finally, I want to move this cavalry, so again, need to pass with an 8. And it can. That's where they finish. And we're over to a Zulu phase, and we'll see if we can get some better tests than in the previous turn. Need to test whether this unit remains pinned. Now it fails on that test, so it gains another pin, and also it needs to retreat half a move, so that's 4 inches. Now this unit at the back here is 13 inches from that British unit, and I feel like it's going to advance. If it just goes 8 inches, it's just going to stand there and get shot at. So I feel like we should take a test to see if it can go at the double, and then see how close it can actually get to that unit. So let's try with that. Can it pass the test first of all? Yes, it certainly can. 5 or a 6. It's going to make it, and we've got combat. But unfortunately, it falls short. Unfortunately, that's where it finishes. This unit here will fire at the cavalry if it can. Test to do so, but it fails. This unit is now 10 inches away from that British unit. And let's take a test and see if we can move at the double and hope we don't roll a 1. It's a 10 to do so. It's another 9. This unit could reach the cavalry. It's 9 inches away, so if it did so at the double, it'd reach. But again, let's see if it gets there. So take a test beforehand, but an 8 is there, so it's going to make it in terms of distance. So it's another combat. Right, I've got 12 Zulus needing 5s. What a terrible roll. It's just 1, and it's not enough to remove 1 of the cavalry. We need 2, so I've got 2 cavalry to fight back. Again, they need 5s, and they do have 1 5. Let's check it's not the leader. No, it isn't. Zulus need to test for being pinned. Taken 1 casualty, so it's a 7. And that is an 8, so they're fine, they're not pinned. The other 2 Zulu units advance, and that is the end of the turn, and we move again to the British. Firstly, I need to see if I can fire this gun. Yes. So after passing the test, the cannon is firing at this unit here. 5s. 10 dice. And 2 casualties. Test the leader. It's not. Needs to pass a pinning test and hasn't. The situation is made worse by the fact that this unit is going to fire. We've got 12 dice. Again, needing 5s. And removing a further 5 figures. Test and see if that unit can move, so I need an 8. No, it can't. This unit is going to fire short range at this unit. Again, needing 5s. It's 5 casualties, and that unit is certainly going to be pinned. And I'm going to see if this unit can fire. It can protect itself. If it fires at that unit and potentially pins it, need an 8 to see if it can fire. No, it can't. Right, we're over to the Zulus, and we need to do pin tests, starting off with the unit at the back there. The unit has 2 pins already, but it passes its test. Unit in front. That fails, unfortunately, and it needs to withdraw. Gets another pin, and it'll move back for 4 inches. Problem with this unit is that its leadership is 10. It's got 1 for a pin, so already we need an 11 or 12. If we continue to get failing to pass, then naturally this unit is going to be inoperative. And it fails. So that effectively leaves 4 units. This one, 3 over there, 1 with the rifles. We might start there. So we need to see if this unit can fire. No, it fails again. These Zulus follow again at the cavalry, see if it can charge. Attack. No, certainly not. This unit, however, could reach the cavalry if we pass a at the double test and then have a reasonable roll. It's passed the test. Realistically, anything but a 1. Would you believe it? And that is where the unit finishes, and indeed the turn. So, over to the British once again. I'll start here this time, firing at that unit at the back. And say this unit does have short cover, so it's 5s to hit, and then it'll be 2 casualties per figure. 5's required. So that's 2 figures. Is it the leader? Pin test. Nope. Pinned. I want to move the cannon, so it's a test. It's passed. I've just turned it around. This unit here is going to fire at that unit, but it's not in short range, so it's still 5s to hit. However, it's going to be 2 casualties per figure, needing 5s. And that's 4 figures in total. Test if it's the leader. No, it isn't. The units be pinned. That's an 8. That would be okay, other than the fact that it's lost 4 men, so therefore it will be pinned. Now I'm going to fire with the cavalry, see if they can pin that unit. First of all, it's got to pass to see if it can. Needing an 8. No. Finally, I need to see if I can move that unit. Yes, and that's where they got to. Back to the Zulus and pin tests. Unit at the back needing 8. And that's what they've got. This one here needing 9. And that's what they've got. This unit here needing 12. And that's a fail. Now this unit is going to, I'm going to remove it from the board because we got 4 for the roll. We've got now down to essentially double 1, but the more important thing is that it can never pass. So we'll need to do a pin test here, and that's a pass. Now we've got an intense area over here. I'm going to say that the unit with rifles can fire at short range at that British unit advancing, see if it can pin it, but what we need to make sure is whether it passes its test first of all. And it does. 5 men needing 6s, short range though, so casualties immediate, and there is a casualty. So it's the leader. No, it's not. Now, is this unit pinned? Now, its leadership is 6, and I know it's -2 for actions, but this pinning test isn't an action. It's a reaction, isn't it? So I think it's a 7 that's required. That is a 7, so I hope that isn't somewhat controversial, but I think that British unit is okay. Now I've got 2 units that could potentially attack this cavalry. Let's start with the nearest to it. Does it pass its test? That's a 7, and yes it does. So we now have melee. 16 dice, needing 5s. And that's the cavalry wiped out. We need to roll for the cavalry, see if there's any Zulu casualties. No, there weren't. So can this unit attack that British infantry? No, it can't. Start to a new turn, and this is the closest the Zulus have actually got to the British, so I need to have a think about what I want to do with those 3 British units. Well, with this unit, they're going to turn and face that unit, but it needs to pass a test. 5's needed. That's a pass. So we've moved and back to move this unit. 5's needing to pass, and that's successful. Let's move to that position. I'll charge that unit into this smaller Zulu unit, but again I need 8s with that. That's a fail. This unit is going to fire at the larger unit at the back there. It's in short range, so it will be just 1 casualty per figure, but I'm going to say that that unit is in soft cover, so therefore it's back to 2 casualties per figure. Needing 5s, so that's 2 figures. The leader, no it isn't. Test to be pinned. Oh, 10, so they will Past that, the leadership is 7. Taking 2 casualties, it would be 9, but they've got a 10, that's a pass. That's the first time in a very long time with no pins to test. So, let's see what the Zulus are going to do. Very simple question, can this unit, who would attack at any opportunity, reach that one? So we need to test to see if we can attack. Hold your breath. And yes, it can. Right, okay, contact. So we've got 16 Zulus and 12 British. So both needing 5s. 16 needing 5s. Not very good, only 3. 12 British needing 5s. And that ends in 3 each. If it was the leader of either, no, it's neither leader. As the Zulus were the attackers, they need to withdraw 4 inches, and neither unit needs to be tested for a pin test. Right, I'm going to see if that unit can fire onto there. Test. It can, because it's got a leadership of 5. 6. Nothing. This unit needs to go at the double to get through this unit and contact this one, and then not roll a 1 at the double distance to pass the test. With a 4, it's a definite no. With this, I could try and pass the test to go at the double, but then I'd need a 5 or 6 to reach the unit there. Broke. And that's certainly a pass. 5 or a 6 to make contact. And it's there. Right, we've got 13 on to 9. That's 6 casualties. British 9 men, only 4. Is it the leader? British being green. Nope. Needing a very high number. That's not good enough. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the game has completely changed, and we haven't had a look over on this side yet. Start with an attack test with these 5. No, I need to move at the double, so it's a test, which is a 7, and then not to roll a 1. No. Well, in a blink of an eye, this game seems to have gone on its head, so I need to start with a pin test. And that is a pass. I need to move this cannon, so I need a test. That's a pass, and that's the move. Now, I know this unit was moving in this direction towards the skirmishers, however, it can't have failed to have noticed what's happened here, so I'm going to say that the first 2 ranks of this can fire. It doesn't need to make a test. So I'm going to say 6 men can fire, needing 5s. And that's 1 casualty. Nope. Zulus pass the pin test critically with a 7. Yes, they do. Passing that test might well have won the game. Over here, I'm going to fire again at that back unit, needing 5s. 12 dice. That's 2 figures killed. Leader. Nope. Pin test. Fail. What I'm going to try here is to see whether that unit can fire. Needing 5s, and it can. Firing into this unit. Needing 6s. 3 casualties. Is it the leader? No, it'll be pinned unless it gets 9. And it hasn't. This unit is going to attack that unit that needs a 7. Doesn't get a unit. To attack that unit needs a 6. Got it. 9 Zulus, and with the British being pinned, onto effectively 4 British. Both units need 5s. Green dice are the British. It's a Zulu victory 3-1. Leader of either of them? Yes. It's the Zulu leader. British need to take another pin test, but as I say, the Zulus have lost their leader in that unit. British pin test is okay for a 7, in fact, because the leadership is 6. I know we have that discipline issue when we have actions. We already have 1 pin, so it was 7 as it is. Now this unit has moved on to the difficult ground, doesn't have any penalties in doing so, so that's 8 inches up into the middle. And now we've got these 2 units. So we're going to start off with the smaller of the 2 and look to see if it can attack this unit. Need a 7 to do so. and it can't. And this unit would need at the double to reach this position. It needs a 7. It's got it. A question of distance. It can, excuse me, with that extra 4 inches. Now that dice is just a note to say I've got 8 figures there rather than 9. So I've got 8 Zulus and 12 British. Before we do, I'd also mention that the officer here, we're not doing an action. The British aren't doing an action, so they don't need to take a test. If you remember whether the officer had been taking a drink or not. So just fighting against each other, both needing 5s. Zulus, first of all, looks like we've got 4 casualties. Just test if it's the leader. It's not. Dice for the British. The British certainly can defend themselves because there are 7 men killed. Is it the leader? No, it's not. Well, withered to almost nothing, and the unit is also automatically pinned. Okay, so on this side at the end of the turn, the British are holding their own really, whilst on this side the Zulus are certainly in the best spot, it would seem. So let's see what happens in turn 9. First thing is to activate that cannon and see if it can fire. 5s, double 1. No, it can't. I need to do a pin test over on that side. It's not, well, let's just roll the dice and see. 9 is a pass. 3 men are going to fire at a very close unit. 1 casualty, unit pinned. It doesn't have a leader, so that will be an 8, and it's got a 1 for the casualty, so it's a 9. Yes, it's pinned. And here we'll fire at that unit over there, needing 5s, and that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 casualties. No, it's not. Pin test, and 4 casualties, so it means it would need an 11. So yes, he's pinned. Both are pinned here. I think realistically they would quite possibly withdraw, but we'll have to see. It's over to the Zulus, and to see what's happening over here in particular. First of all, we've got a pin test, so we've got need of 9, and we've got double 1, so no, that's definitely unsuccessful. This unit withdraws. It's now got 2 pins against it. I'm going to say that this unit can fire, but only 3 of them at the end if they want to fire at that unit there, and I'll also say it's in a bit of soft cover too. Well, can they fire? Yes, they can with 3, and that's nothing. Unit is going to attack, so it's within 8 inches. It's just an attack order to see whether it has the ability to do it and the leadership, and yes, it does. So that's 11 against 5, needing 5s. Zulus first, 4 killed. Let's see if it's the leader. No, it's not, although we've only got the leader left. Good grief. Right, no Zulu casualties. Pin test is failed, so definitely pinned is where he finishes. So we need an attack order for this unit to attack these 3. No. Well, this game is really coming to a head. Obviously on the left hand side here the British are really struggling, and over here in the middle it's the other way around. The British don't have big numbers. We'll have to see what happens next. It is a British turn to start off with, and let's start with the pin test over on the far side. And that's a fail. Right, I'm going to say that in terms of having to withdraw, I'm going to say this officer is removed from the game. He's going to go off the table and is out of the fight. Well, we need to see if this gun can fire. So first of all, can it pass its test with a 7? It can. And short range, this is the target. It's needing 5s. And that looks like 3 casualties. Is it the leader? No. Unit pinned. Yes. It might be out of the arc, but we've only got the firing arc. We've only got 3 men here who've seen exactly what's gone on over there, so I'm going to say these 3 men can fire at the Zulus here. 5s. It's 1 casualty. No, it's not. They pinned, importantly. 8. Now, I need to double check. And the answer of that is no, just checking on the leadership. They've taken 1 casualty, but they're still fine. And they're okay to operate. Now, I'm not going to fire or do anything with this unit here. Try and be slightly civilized, although I'm not quite sure we can do this after a whole load of fighting. They're just going to allow those 2 units to withdraw in terms of their leaders. So this one isn't going to operate at all in this this turn. I'm going to allow those figures to be removed. 2 pin tests starting here, which is going to be quite a challenge. And definitely no here, this unit. 7, no, that's a fail. This unit begin to withdraw, so we've then got 2 units. This one and that one. Unit want to fire and fire on that unit. 5 they can do. 5 men needing 6s, and that gives us 1 casualty. The leader, no it's not. Pin test. And that's successful. This unit now want to attack those 2 men. That's a fail. I was tempted to stop the game at this point and call it an honourable draw. However, there's still lots of options that might happen here, depending on whether orders are passed or not. So let's go through another turn and see what might happen. Let's start with this cannon to see if it can pass its test. And it does. Firing 10 dice into that unit there as it withdraws, needing 5s. And looking at that, there's another 3 casualties. Let's take another pin test. Leadership is 7. We've taken 3 casualties, that's 10, and it's already got 2 pins. Unless it's going to get a 12, and it doesn't, then it fails. Move these 2 men, so I need to move them effectively at the double. So I need to take a test. The test is a 5, and they fail to move this unit. And so first of all, I need to take a test on what the state of the officer is. At a 5, so it means his leadership is 6. Move the unit. Yes, he can. And that's where the unit's moved to. Pin test over here. I think probably need a double 6. No, we haven't got that. It's continued to withdraw. If it fails last time, next time I should say, it'll be removed, and we need to test this one. Need a very high number. Double 1 certainly isn't it. That's where they finish. Unit want to fire, but it can't. Now the last act here, I could try and charge to the men there, those 2. Or I think the likelihood is that even if they're successful there, they're going to be hit by rifle fire and probably cannon fire too. I think I'm going to be unnecessarily sacrificing that unit. So I think the sensible thing it's going to do is to withdraw, just like the other 2 units. And that's where they finish. And that is where we finish. A little inconclusive, I guess, but I think a little bit more realistic. The Zulus withdraw. The British can't do what they wanted to do, which is to move with their units, many of whom they've now lost, and they're back in their original position, which is with the wounded, of which they'll find plenty more out there in the field, who they're going to have to look after and sort. So they'll have to try and withdraw another day. So I'm going to call this a draw, I think, and yeah, that's the end of the game. Okay, just leaves me to say thanks very much for watching. Thanks for all those who have subscribed onto the channel. If you haven't, then it's now just a note to do so if you like. Feel free also to put any thoughts or comments to the game, either via the YouTube channel or on some of the Facebook groups. I know there's a Men Who Would Be Kings Facebook group, a couple of those, and also my own channel, Wargaming World Facebook group there. Feel free to join also. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again next time.